As we talk about the process of making disciples, the process of helping other people pursue God, I want you to understand that this is a relational process. And to see that, we need to look no further than the example of Jesus and his ministry. Jesus intentionally spent a lot of time with people. And in Mark chapter 3, we see a picture of all the different aspects of the relationships that Jesus had in his ministry. It says that Jesus withdrew with his disciples to the lake, and a large crowd from Galilee followed. When they heard about all he was doing, many people came to him from Judea, Jerusalem, and the regions across the Jordan. Because of the crowd, he told his disciples to have a small boat ready for him to keep people from crowding him. And then a few verses later it says, Jesus went up on a mountainside and called to him those he wanted, and they came to him. He appointed 12 that they might be with him, that he might send them out to preach. So we see just in this little vignette that Jesus had all these different levels of relationship. We see there the crowds. There were large numbers of people that just came to hang out, to check it out. And then we see that he also has a larger group of disciples. That doesn't mean just the 12. The 12 are mentioned specifically in verses 13 and 14 and how he called them to a specific kind of relationship, but there was also this larger group of disciples. And then in Luke chapter 8, we see that he had a unique relationship with just 3 of the 12, Peter, James, and John. And when he arrived at the home of Jairus, he did not let anyone go in with him except Peter, John, and James, and the child's father and mother. The point is, here's one of the incredible miracles that Jesus did, raised a girl from the dead, and he brought just the 3 of them in with him. And so you can see that he had different kinds of discipleship relationships with the crowds, with the larger group of disciples, with the 12, and then with Peter, James, and John. Some were more superficial, some were deeper and more personal. And so discipleship is a relational process. Spiritual maturity can't just be taught from a book. Much of following Jesus is caught, not taught. His attitudes, his heart, his mission, many of those things just rub off from being around other people. In light of this, I want you to understand 2 important kinds of ministry within any church. The first is what I call formal ministry. Those are the things that are organized, where the church comes together as a team and maybe then subdivides into particular ministry teams, where there's a job description, there's a chain of command. We organize because we have a task to accomplish together. And so some of the most very important aspects of our mission require that level of organization, whether it be kids' church, our worship teams, our ushers, our clean team. These are formal ministries that need to be organized in order to be effective. But that's not the limit of ministry. There's another kind of ministry that I call informal ministry. That's simply how you serve others through your natural existing relationships as you're led by the Spirit of God. You just live out your life in Christ in the context of relationships. So there's not necessarily a job description. There's not necessarily a place in an organizational chart. It's just how you minister and how you serve other people as a way of life. And so what I'm saying is that you don't have to wait for someone to set that up for you. Just take the initiative toward people. Use the tools that are developed in common as a church. We have a video library. We have Sunday services and everything that's involved with that. But you don't have to wait for a pastor to organize this for you. You don't have to wait for someone to assign you a disciple. Just go out and invest in relationships. Now, they won't be all the same depth. They won't have all the same results, but discipleship is a relational process. Take the initiative toward people and just start ministering to them as a way of life. Now stop and take a look at these questions and talk about the relational elements of ministry.